Hey, everybody, it's Kaye Walker. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we have a very exciting guest. I have known this woman for a while, but I was very shocked when I saw her speaking on a Netflix documentary. And I messaged her and I said, Dorie, is there something you want to tell me? Right? You probably thought that was a super weird message, right? Were you shocked by that?
I was not shocked. Actually, it's a common message, and I think people know. And I don't. Really, you didn't know that? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So Dorie's famous. Dorie is in a documentary on Netflix called Murder Among the Mormons. And yeah, so she's got an amazing story. So I wanted to have her on the podcast because she has turned some pretty bizarre life experiences into a beautiful healing career. And she speaks now. She's on podcasts, she does events, and she speaks all over. So I wanted to share with you her story because, you know, it's really fascinating to hear how some people end up speakers when it was the last thing they ever planned. So, yeah, so I'm super excited to have you on here, Tori. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing these days, and then we'll get into your dramatic story.
Okay. So I'm Dorie Olds. I'm the creation coach with Beyond Creation Institute, and I do hypnosis. I do Reiki. I do lymphatic massage as well as other things, other technologies, tools, and technologies to help people feel good, to help them have good health, and to be clear and find their passion and be able to express that in this world because everyone matters, everyone's needed, and I love helping people do and have what they're here for. And that's what I do, and I love it. I wow myself every day that I get to be doing this in my life.
Isn't that the best when you're wowed by what you're doing? Like everyone should live a life like that.
It's amazing, and I really do love it. And it's fun to find the gifts, and sometimes it sounds arrogant. It's like I'm good at this. It was kind of shocking. I'm good at this. I know how to do this. I'll have someone talk to me, and I'll say, "Oh, I know how to help you with this," and it's amazing. But we do. Each of us come with what we need to do our job that we came to do, and so I'm just using the tools I came with.
I love that. I'm glad you're using them. Good job. Because a lot of people have those things and are too scared to show up and use them. So I'm glad that you are showing up, using your tools, and making a difference in the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Job is to help other people be step out and stop being scared.
Yeah, don't be
Wait,
scared.
one thing.
Right? Okay, so let's get to the backstory, Dorie. Story, Dorie. All right, so I was watching Murder Among the Mormons about Mark Hoffman and the salamander letter, right? That's what it was called.
Yes.
And lo and behold, my friend Dory pops up in the documentary, and I had no idea that she was involved in that at all. But yeah, she's got a really cool story. So, Dory, I'm just going to let you take over, and you start wherever you want and end wherever you want.
And wherever I want. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say I was very shy. People get shocked by that because I'm now so much more extroverted, but I'm introvert who's acting extroverted. But I'm
Yeah.
very shy. I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't have confidence, and I didn't really know what I was here for, what I wanted to do. And when you're in that place, when you're in that way, not feeling good about yourself, and there are those who know how to use people and know how to use that find you, and there's actually a magnetic attraction to for those like empath and narcissist. That's there's a magnetic for that, and for the predator that helps them, they want it for their use, and the empath, it's actually a journey to help them step out of that of being afraid or being lack of confidence. It's a tool to help get that confidence and help stand up for yourself. That's what I learned, is that through this process, it gave me a push. It gave me a shove, maybe that's a better word, where I had to stand up for myself, which I don't know that I would have without that shove. And I don't know I would have had courage or impetus to step into what I'm doing now without that shove. And so I met Mark. He was I liked him. There were some red flags for me with him. And I am a very spiritual person. I have prayers, I check in. And as I was dating him and we were getting more involved with each other, dating, I just felt like this was someone who I needed to be with. And not knowing his history, not knowing all the things that were going on behind the scenes. And I wasn't very confident with myself. So I was easily moved, easily. I would adjust to what he wanted easily. He could easily get what he wanted. I would put it that way. And so that was a fit for him. And for me, I thought this was just someone who I found him interesting. I liked his great stories. He knew a lot about history. He understood a lot of different things that I was interested in. I liked history too. And so I was drawn to him, and we did end up getting married. And it's interesting, there were red flags all along the way, but I kept having this feeling, and I still have that. I've had that confirmation. This was the right path for me. This was something that I needed to go through to be where I am today. And that's something that is one thing I do talk about, which is that adversity. People are complain about not having a straight line life. Well, if you're in a hospital, you don't want a straight line. That means no heartbeat. You don't want a straight line. And so a lot of those that are here to serve will have these kinds of experiences, because without them, we wouldn't do what we need to do. We need that push. We need that impetus. We need that those obstacles in the way to help us get where we are. And so it's been totally confirmed to me that no accident that this happened, no accident that we were drawn together, no accident that this whole experience happened. And he was forging documents. I don't know everything about this. There are things I don't know about the story, which you'd think it was my own life, I would, but there are parts I don't know. My understanding is that the people who were involved that he had ended up murdering were going to out him. That's something that I don't have confirmation on. That's a feeling I have, that they were going to be outing him, going to be talking about that, and he wanted to prevent that. So we ended up going that one last step, which is like marijuana is called that, the entry drug. You start doing things, and then you get into a corner, and then you do more and you do more. And he escalated his crimes, and he ended up killing people, and so killing 2 people, and which was really horrendous. And but all along when we were talking about it and having the police, I mean, it was this whole adventure with being involved in a crime, being involved in a crime investigation it's something that unless you've been there before, you're no preparation for this, and for all the stress, for the intensity. And I could not believe that he could have done this. That was one thing I was mocked for a lot, people were like, oh, she's so stupid, she doesn't know. But as I've gone through, you get hindsight, you get more understanding as you go through, as you look back at things. And I feel very strongly now that I was actually kept from knowing. I was protected from knowing, because I would have confronted him. I would have been more outgoing with this. This was not okay. And I think that if I had done that, I think that he would have killed me. I think that I would not have been safe. And so I was protected from knowing and seeing what was happening. I know when I had, near the end, I had already decided that I was going to get a divorce, that our life was not happy. There were big challenges. And I told him that, and he got really, really upset about that. And after that conversation, I kept hearing in my head, just wait, stop talking about this, just wait. And so I dropped the whole thing about wanting a divorce, I just dropped it. And I think that also was something that if I had pushed that, I think that would have also been something where I would have been killed. And so for me, one of my big lessons with this whole journey is listening to what is being told to me from that source I trust, and following the map. I've been giving them maps, And when you recognize those maps, then you start following those. It's very comforting. In a way, it's uncertain because you don't know where it's leading you, but there's a trust factor. And it's really cool to see, okay, I wonder what's behind this next marker. I wonder what's going to happen next. And there's a lot of learning. And it really strengthened my intuition because I had to trust myself. There was no place outside that I could go. There was no one who could help me. There was no one who could say, now this is going to happen, that's going to happen. There were some attorneys involved, but even they didn't really know. They just knew certain parts of the process, but no one knew. And so I had to really learn to trust myself. And that's something that I still use. And so I have someone who's doing hypnosis with me or doing some Reiki, and I go inside. It's like before my session, tell me what they need. How can I help them? And I'll ask them a question and they'll say, well, how did you know that? Well, I didn't know that. I was given that. But as we're all conduits, we all have that channel. It's just learning how to listen to that and follow that. And when you do that, things are smooth and beautiful, and the results happen exactly what's needed. And I'm the conduit. I'm being used by source to help have the person that's in my space, to help them have the healing or the understanding they need. And I really love that because I don't have to know anything. I can just align with that. And then as I'm following, there it is, so beautiful. So that's my story. And I've left out a lot of details. It takes, that documentary was 3 hours long and only did a partial. So there's a lot of story here, a lot of details to talk about, but I have had confirmation that there was no accident. And these traumas that we have in our life really are something for us to learn from. And I mean, I have specific stories I could talk about that helped me. If you want to, I could share some of those stories, but it's going into a lot of detail. I need more of a script, I think, for that. Talk about this part, now talk about that part. There was a beautiful story. I'll tell you this one story.
Okay.
So 2 people had been killed. And there was a lot of uproar and what's going on and a lot of fear and what's happening. And then the next day, he was hurt in a car. He was bombed in his car. And at that point, no one understood that he had done that to himself, but he was in this explosion in his car. And he was taken to the hospital. We got a call. My sister drove me to the hospital because I was just shaky and I couldn't drive. I was shaking a lot for multiple days. I just was just in shock from all of this. And I went into the hospital, and the hospital had given us a lounge, a special area, because of all the reporters, because it was a big deal. Cameras everywhere. People were following me. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff going on. And so we went into this lounge, and we were in the lounge. So my then husband, was being interviewed by the police. They were interrogating him while he was under doctor care, and asking him questions. So I could hear that happening. I could see on the news that the TV was on. I can see on the TV that my house was being searched. Neighbors were there and police were there, and there were all kinds of activity on our lawn with our house being searched on the news. And then his parents were sitting in the chair telling me, "This is all your fault. This is all your fault. We know it's all your fault. We know it's all your fault." And I found out later that every time his parents were upset with him, he would tell them it was my fault. I made him do that, which was great because I could never make him. But that's what he would say. He would tell them. So I could see now. At the time, I was like, "What in the world? Why are you blaming me for this?" And I didn't even think he was. I didn't think he was guilty. I thought they would find the person. I thought they would find the right person, that it wasn't him. But I remember just being so upset, and just when they were telling me, "This is your fault. This is your fault. This is your fault." And I had to get out of there. The energy was too intense. I just had to leave. And it's like I said, "You can't leave. You have to stay here." And it's like, yes, I can. Yes, I can leave. And I left the room, went out into the hallway, and no one was in the hall. It was totally empty. And I sat there for a minute going, "Okay, now what do I do? Where do I go? What do I do?" And I heard very clearly, "Everything's going to be okay.
Wow.
Everything's going to be okay. Quite loud. It wasn't inside myself, it was outside. Everything's going to be okay. And I felt all of the stress leave. I felt myself calm down. Now, I assumed from that, oh, they're going to find the right person. This is all going to go away. And that didn't happen. But I had that peace.
Yeah.
I had this peace with me that I still have it with me. I still have it to this day, even after all these years. I can connect with that peace. And I was able to go back into the room and be with, everything was the same. Nothing had changed there, but I had changed. And I was able to be calm and peaceful. I was able to, at night, I was able to sleep. I was able to eat. I was able to do things, even though there was a lot of stress. It wasn't so overtaking me because of that feeling. And I've had those experiences, a number of experiences I had during this, that if I hadn't had all the adversity, I wouldn't have had those experiences. So there's the negative, and then there's the positive. I mean, I had all these people had horrendous experiences with people telling me, you can't have your kids come play with my kids, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't be here, you need to leave church, you're contaminating the church, all these really negative. But then I had all these really positive where people were like, how can I help you? I would go to the grocery store because my face was on the papers and on the news, and people would hand me money. So many positive things that were balanced. It's like there's a balance. There's never all negative. It's never all positive, but it was balancing. And then I had the strength. I found myself with the strength to be with these people who were out doing the negative. And I was able to have that. It's like, it didn't matter. That's where they are. That's what's going on. It didn't matter. And that's something that's like looking for the good, being in that positive space, seeing the support. And that's something I've had experiences in my past as a child and other with feeling the spirit or feeling that support. But this was more and more tangible, where it's, wow, I am really, really supported here. I have angels who are with me all the time. I know that I'm protected, and that I hadn't had that awareness to that level, that awareness to that level before. And it's life changing when you realize that. And that's true for everyone. And that's part of another of my messages. Like, everyone has this. It's, you just need to find it. You need to be aware of it yourself, that everyone matters. Everyone has a journey. Everyone has something they can give. Doesn't matter, old, young, disabled, working, not working, it doesn't matter. We all have something to give. We're all here to give something, because that's what innately we're here to serve each other. And that's something that every day I look at, well, who can I help? How can I help? Who can I smile at? Who can I give a comfort to, or just say hello to? And it's amazing. And I've had that happen with me, where I've feeling kind of down, and then somebody smiles at me and has this cool, joyful energy, and it's like, boom, I'm uplifted. And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot of things. It's like Christmas. You can have a really great Christmas gift, or you can just hand someone a candy cane. You feel cool just having this little candy cane given to you.
Yeah.
And so it's not about the what you give, and if it's appropriate, you give what's appropriate. Sometimes those big things are appropriate, but you don't have to be doing that. And everyone can give, and that's what that innate part of who we are, that human part of who we are, is amazing. And that's one of my missions is to help people be fully human, which is love, which is giving, which is how can I help people? What can I do? And we have so much more ability than we realize. And those are some of the lessons that I have learned through all of this, is that we just have so much more ability. And that's what I love talking about. It's like, what are your abilities? What can you do? And that having that intuition, that is absolutely amazing, that I can sit with someone and know suddenly in a moment. Oh, yeah. One moment I don't have it, one moment that is amazing. That's miraculous. That's being fully human, being able to have. Now I want it more than I have. I don't always have that, and you need to be in alignment with that. But it's like, we all have that. This is where we are all miraculous. We're all so powerful, and it's owning that. And coming into my marriage and being that shy person, that lack of confidence, I didn't own any of those things.
Yeah.
But through this journey, I can help other people own that. And I can help them clear away those feelings and thoughts that are getting in the way of that. And that is, it's really amazing to see someone start shining. It's like you have a light bulb with the cloth over it, and you start pulling the cloth off, and it shines brighter and brighter. And I love watching that process where they're just shining brighter and brighter as they're becoming more and more aware of what their gifts are and what they're here to do. And then starting that journey with getting education or whatever it is that they need to do to have that. It's really amazing. And my heart there's just joy there's this joy and bliss within me when I see that happening with people. And then I have my own people who help me do the same,
Right.
places. So we're all helping each other. And I see like a line of people, we each are all holding hands, and the person in front of me is pulling me up, and the person behind them, I'm pulling them up, and we're all just here to help each other. No one is without needing help. we all need help, and we all can help each other. So I love that, and it just makes me so happy when I'm around people who I can help, and also who help me. I mean, I talk to them. I have clients who tell me something. It's like, oh, write that down on my paper. I'll look at that after because I don't focus right then. But it's like, ooh, that's cool. They just helped me and they didn't know.
And none of that would have happened if you hadn't gone through all the trauma, because the trauma is what developed your intuition. So
Yes.
really, are the hard times in life something to be complained about and whined about? Or are they a gift we just haven't unwrapped yet?
I think they're the gift. And I've talked
Right.
about that before. And they're like, well, I don't want to have that happen. Well, if you don't want that to happen, then you're going to have a straight line life, which that's sad. That's what's sad. If you have a straight line,
right?
you're not growing and moving. And so being unable to be unafraid with that because you have help. We're not alone with this. But yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a gift. It really is
a gift to be opened. So now I want to know how you ended up becoming a speaker. You probably did not plan as a kid to grow up to be a speaker, right?
I did plan on that. I did. When I was in high school, I had like, what do I want to do? And I realized I want to teach, but I couldn't figure out what I wanted to teach. High school, it wasn't any of the any of those teacher things with regular school. And it's like, I couldn't figure out what it was. And because I wasn't exposed to it at that point, it was around personal development, all of these kinds of spiritual growth and things. It's around, but I just wasn't around it except in a religious way. So as you look back, I can see like, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. Now I get to do that. But it's been a journey. And in 2002, I was in I've done business in different ways. I did a year as a massage therapist and esthetician just by my own. And then I joined with a woman. We were in business together for about 21 years. And she taught me, she didn't teach me, but she introduced me to hypnosis because she was doing that. And then I got an instructor to train me. But she asked me, she challenged me in 2002 to put together a 6-week self-hypnosis class. So I ended up going, okay, as I started doing this, I ended up like, nope, it wasn't 6 weeks, it's 7 weeks. And so and it was amazing because I would start writing out. It was like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. It was totally inspiration that was given to me. I love my class. This class is awesome. So if you want to, I'll let you know when I'm teaching it again. That's an amazing class. But I started, I put this class together, and then I got it listed on adult education at Olympus High, which is a high school nearby, Olympus High. And I had to go, and there were like 20 students, and I would get up there and I would shake the whole time. My whole body was just shaking. The material, and I love to teach it, but I was like, shake, 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 shake. And I would just go, and I was teaching. It was 7 classes, and I was teaching those 7 classes like 5 times a year. So I was, and that was an hour and a half. And so I was doing it. And then I got moved over to their nearby rec center, and I heard the teacher, look at how much she's shaking. Look how much she's shaking. And I'm still shaking, but finally, after enough practice, I stopped shaking.
Good job.
It was just practice. And I learned material, and I'd get up and I'd be all excited. And when I get excited, I would forget that I was shaking. So I got over that. I had really bad fear of that. But and I didn't ask anybody to do hypnosis with me. I could have done that, but I never did do that. But it was really just through just practicing and determination. It's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go do this. Oh shit, I'm going to go do this. But then finally it was like, oh, okay. And now pretty much we can talk about, you give me a topic, I can talk about it. And we were, my business partner and I were asked to be a keynote speaker at an event here in the Salt Lake area. And we were looking at each other and we hadn't planned anything. And we were being introduced and she leans over to me, she says, do you know what you're going to speak about? And I said, no. Do you? And she said, no. So neither one of us knew what we were going to speak about. And then we got up and it was right then, it was like, we knew. And then we gave our, it was a beautiful keynote, but that's it. That's living on the edge.
Yeah, it is. I'll say.
But I'm used to that. It's like, okay, I'm, I get a little nervous, but once you start talking, then that goes away. And it's like, what do I need to say? What do I need to, I have some things that are outlined, I have an outline of what I want to say, but then I adjust it to, with that intuition to the moment with speakers and who's in the room and what's needed to be said. So I do get a little nervous still, but it goes away as soon as I start talking. So, but there's a lot of uncertainty with living on that intuition.
Yes, that is so true. What is the number one advice you would give to somebody who has that like shaking fear of speaking? What's your best advice you would give them?
Would go to a hypnotist to help with that because that can help. And two,
Yeah.
connect with your why, because that why is what keeps you, it motivates you to just do it anyway. Connect with the why until you're confident. And there are people, it doesn't matter. I mean, people were, those women that were talking in that class, it didn't matter. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm doing this anyway. Doesn't matter what they're going to say about me. And I'd already had exposure to so many things written about me, so many things. It's like, what else could they say? Because I already had, I've had it everywhere. I on the radio and the internet, I had all this stuff being said about me.
Right.
Oh, it was kind of like, oh, well, it's like, what does it matter? But
Right.
it is connecting with your why. And it's like, why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? And it's connecting with that passion, and that passion motivates you over the hump of that, of the nervousness or the shaking or the who's going to want to listen to me. And you're touching people. It doesn't, your message is going to touch people. And I've had people tell me when I've spoken for many years now, I've had people tell me years later, when you spoke, this is how it affected me. And I had no idea in the moment I have no idea what's going to affect. I've also been told through spirit that it's like no worries about what result happens with your talk. You're planting the seeds that we can work with later.
Ooh.
So planting the seeds that then we can come in and using the things that people remember about what you said or the seeds are planted, then we can help them with their next step. So it's like, just do it and have no thought about what results you're getting, or it has to be this way or this many numbers, or we'll do the rest. And so that was a huge burden off me. Okay, I'm planting seeds. Then there's no worry about harvesting a crop when you're just planting seeds.
That's true.
In the ground, just to put in the ground and water it. Okay, that's all I got to do. Okay, but that's an amazing thought. I'm planting seeds, and that's what each of us are used in that way. It's like we're here to help other people, and those that are whose job it is will come in after and say, okay, let's help them now on the next step.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to see a result to know that you don't have to see a result to have had given a result.
Yeah, that's really true. It is always fun to hear later that you impacted someone, but as speakers, we rarely hear that.
Yeah.
It's always it's the exception to the rule. So you just have to live for your why. And
Yes.
you know what? That's so funny that you say, to get over stage fright, connect with your why. Because when I first decided in 2017 I wanted to become a speaker after hearing Kirk Duncan speak, and I was so scared of speaking, like it made me almost throw up to even think about it. And gradually over the next few months, my desire to change lives from the stage grew so big, there was no room left in me for stage fright. It literally pushed it out of my body. And now I just love changing lives from the stage. And I might get nervous right before just for a second, but then as soon as I start talking, it's gone again.
Yeah.
But yeah, connecting with your why, that is so powerful for
Yeah.
overcoming that fear of getting up there. So I'm really glad you mentioned that. What a
Yeah.
great story you have. I love it, love it, love it. And I love that you took the trauma, you learned intuition from it, you recognized that you learned from it, and then you started teaching others
Mhm.
with your gifts.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have done any of that until you'd gone through the trauma and developed your intuition. So amazing story. I love it so much.
Yeah, me too. And it's interesting because what I like is to help stop the suffering.
Yeah.
And I was reminded a few years ago, I was reminded that when my grandfather lived with us in our family, he was having a depression, he was having sadness. As my grandma had died, he didn't want to live in our house. And I remember talking with him, and I remember being all concerned about him, talking to my mom about it. She didn't know what to do. I remember writing a letter to him when he got home. And it's like, that's what I like to do, is help people be free of that stress. And it's like, be happy,
Yeah.
feel good. And so that showed me, when I had that memory come back, it's like, oh, I was already in that place with that passion clear back when I was, so
Yeah.
no, it was like, this was something that was planned all along. I want to put it that way.
Yeah.
I just didn't know the plan.
There were no accidents, right?
That's what I was trying to, no accident.
Yeah. What was meant to happen is what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. And I'm like in the right place doing the right things. And
Yeah.
yeah, pretty amazing. And I think when we allow ourselves to look at our lives, we see those patterns, and we see that the hand of God. We see that this, how, whatever words you want to use there. But I love that. I love that. And I love,
Yeah.
I get to do this every day.
You're so lucky. Well, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you and maybe learn about some hypnotherapy or get some lymphatic massage, how would they get a hold of you?
Okay, so right now I have a website which is not functioning right now. So the best way to get a hold of me is my phone number. It's
Okay.
801 674 7329. Or I have a link tree. You can put link tree, and it's link tree. I can't remember that link, the link for that link tree, and then it's my name, Dorie Olds. And so
Right.
that tree gives you the links to the different ways to get a hold of me. But the phone number, just text me. And I love I offer some free sessions that we can come in and do introductory things to see if you'd like to do anything more. But even those sessions, the introductory ones, you get a lot out of.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I'll put your phone number and I'll put your link tree in the show notes. So if people couldn't write that down fast enough, they go check the show notes and I'll have those in there. Dorie, thank you so much. You have led a fascinating life and you've learned so much and now you get to teach others and that's amazing.
It is amazing. I'm so happy.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on this episode. I'm so excited for it. People are going to love it. All right. So that is it for today. Thank you for joining us. Check the links for Dorie's information so you can get in touch with her. And everybody have an amazing day, amazing week, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.